Imagine if you could print your own money. Your first instinct might be to print $1 billion and buy a private island, right? Well, you wouldn't be the first. The Romans tried something similar, but instead of printers, they had, well, let's say, creative blacksmiths. Now, the Romans had a bit of a problem. Their empire was expensive, and they needed a way to pay for it. So they came up with a brilliant plan. Why not just dilute the silver in their coins to create more money? It's kind of like adding water to your wine. Sure, you end up with more wine, but it's not exactly top of shelf, is it? In a way, it's not too different from what some governments do today, printing more money when they need it. But just as the Roman citizens weren't fooled by their watered-down wine coins, we're not exactly thrilled when our dollars start to feel lighter. So, as it turns out, printing money isn't as great an idea as it might seem at first glance, but why is that? You might be wondering, so what if a few more coins are minted or a few more notes are printed? Well, the middle class of Rome might have a thing or two to say about that. In the grand old days of the Roman Empire, the middle class was thriving. They were the backbone of the economy, the hard-working folks that kept the wheels of commerce spinning. But then the government had an idea. They started debasing the currency, mixing in less valuable metals with the gold and silver. This meant they could mint more coins without actually having any more precious metals. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Now, the middle class in Rome, they weren't fools. They noticed their coins were getting lighter, their edges less shiny. And they felt the pinch when they went to the market. Their once hefty bag of coins now buying less bread, less meat, less of everything. The value of their hard-earned savings was dwindling. And it wasn't because they were spending more, it was because their money was worth less. Fast forward to today, we might not be dealing with debased coins, but we're dealing with something eerily similar. Our governments are printing money, and not just a little. We're talking a lot. And just like in Rome, this can lead to inflation. Now, inflation isn't inherently evil. A little can even be good, spurring growth and investment, but too much, and we're back in Rome with our money buying less and less. The middle class, those hard-working people in the heart of our economy, they're the ones who feel it the most. They're trying to build a life, save for the future. But with every new dollar printed, with every percentage point of inflation, the value of those savings shrinks. They're running harder and harder, but it feels like they're standing still. So, it seems like the middle class always gets the short end of the stick, doesn't it? Whether it's debased coins in Rome or printed money today, the story seems to repeat itself. It's a tough pill to swallow, but maybe, just maybe, understanding the problem could be the first step to fixing it. Now, I know what you're thinking. We're not Romans, and our money is just paper and numbers on a screen. Well, that's where the subtle art of inflation comes in. Inflation, in its simplest form, is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising. It's like that stealthy cat burglar in the night, silently chipping away at the buying power of your hard-earned money. Now let's draw a parallel to the Roman times. The emperors back then didn't have fancy printing presses to churn out more coins. Instead, they debased their currency by reducing the silver content in their coins. Sounds familiar? Today we've traded silver for paper and digits, but the principle remains the same. When the government prints more money without a corresponding increase in goods and services, it's like adding more water to the soup. Sure, you get a bigger pot, but the flavor? Diluted. The middle class, the backbone of our society, bears the brunt of this phenomenon. Let's say you've been saving diligently, putting away those crisp dollar bills for a rainy day. But here comes inflation, like a sly fox diminishing the value of your savings. That dollar you saved yesterday, it's not quite $1 today. It's as if you're running on a treadmill that's slowly speeding up. You're working hard but not getting ahead. And just like in Roman times, the rich have assets, land, property, stocks, that can weather the inflation storm. But the average Joe? He's left holding a bag of watered-down soup. But wait, before you start stuffing your mattress with cash, remember that inflation isn't necessarily a villain. It's a tool used by governments to manage economic growth. The trick is to keep it in check to prevent it from turning into a runaway train. So the more things change, the more they stay the same, huh? So, should we start hoarding gold and silver like the Romans? Not necessarily, but it's important to understand the mechanics behind our money. Let's take a moment to revisit our journey today. We dove deep into the intriguing parallels between the Roman Empire's currency debasement and our modern-day money printing. The Romans were quite the innovators, weren't they? They knew how to stretch a denarius, and in a twist of fate, we're doing the same with our dollars today. But what does this mean for the everyday Joe and Jane? Well, just like the Roman middle class, ours too is feeling the pinch. Inflation, that subtle art form, is quietly eating away at our purchasing power. It's like a stealthy pickpocket. We hardly notice until it's too late. But don't despair, my friends. This is not a doomsday prophecy. It's a wake-up call, a nudge to be more aware, more informed. Because remember, knowledge is power. And in this case, it might just save you a few bucks. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode of Money Printing, a Comedy of Errors. We've had a grand romp through the annals of economic history, finding humor in the most unlikely places. We want to extend our sincere thanks for joining us on this journey. If you found the insights we shared today useful, please like this video. It helps us understand what content resonates with you. We're passionate about making sense of the economic world around us, and we hope you are too. The intricate dance of money printing and currency debasement, as we've seen, has far-reaching effects on our lives, especially for the middle class. Understanding these mechanisms empowers us to make informed decisions. Thank you for sticking around on our new channel. Your support means the world to us. Remember to hit that subscribe button and keep learning. Until next time, keep those printers off.